Hi Cancer, welcome to your September 2018 love reading. It's Raina here. So there's like a light that is hitting one corner of my table. So I'm going to be doing my usual spread with my usual deck, the Morgan Greer deck, and I'm going to end the reading with a card picked from the Akashic Tarot after I'm done with this part of the festivities. And then that'll be the reading. I just did your opposite sign Capricorn, so very interesting card you have here. And I was remarking to Capricorn about a lot of changes between your sign and their sign, because you formed that first and seventh house polarity of the self and the other, and and the relationship. And because there have been eclipses, well, the first eclipse of Cancer occurred a few weeks ago, almost a month ago, actually. And that was the solar eclipse in Cancer. And so the other thing that has been happening too is that there was a full moon in Capricorn in late June, and that might have been a time when some people, some Cancers, experienced the end of a significant relationship, a romantic relationship. So a lot of changes been happening for you guys. You also have these other heavy hitter planets like Pluto and Saturn in that seventh house as well. So that can be very challenging, and some of these cards reflect that. I'll get to those in a minute. I'm just going to talk about the overall card. We have the Six of Pentacles. And this is the card of give and take. So in some cases it can be that one party is giving to another excessively, that they are the ones that are always doing the giving and the other person's doing the taking. We're not, this is material because it's Pentacles. So you could get literal and say, yes, it's financial, that one person is supporting another person, but it doesn't have to be that at all. I mean, it could be something related to energy-wise, just in terms of one person is always the one who is kind of keeping everything afloat. If you're not living with the person, you're the one that's calling them, and they're not kind of investing in the relationship in the same way. This can be also about what are you worth? You know, and that kind of ties into that, because if you're giving, it could be coming from a place of low self-esteem where you don't feel that you are deserving of receiving, or maybe it's uncomfortable. You actually enjoy being in a position where you're always doing for someone else, but you don't like somebody doing things for you. And you find yourself in relationships where you've got people who are taking from you too much. Again, we're not necessarily talking resources. This could be just like energetically that someone is always having problems and you have to be their support system. You have to be their, you know, therapist. And yeah, I mean, this could even be somebody with a drinking problem. I'll get to that in a second. So enabling codependent characteristics could be present. Now, I want to talk about this card as well, where it can be that one person is much more financially solvent than their partner. And so it could literally be that you are giving to another person financially because they don't have and you do. But typically, I feel like I'm on a runway. That's actually a plane, a train, but my gosh. So, actually, Cancer isn't a sign like Leo that I associate with generosity in terms of like opening your pocketbook, because Cancer people are very money conscious and very conservative. Conservative meaning conserve, saving money, not wanting to blow money. So I don't see you being the kind of person that would just be an open pocketbook for somebody else in the general sense of just like trying to buy a relationship or something along those lines. But definitely if you're with a person and they have a streak of quote unquote, air quotes, bad luck, and I'm putting it in quotes because sometimes people have sob stories and it's really because of their own choices, their own behavior. And they make it sound like it's just this random bad luck that's happening to them. When if you investigate more thoroughly, you see, oh, well, the person has a drinking problem. So no wonder they are like this. They can't keep a job. Oh, the boss fired me. Well, did the boss fire you for no reason? Well, when you investigate, you find out they show up late all the time. And so anyway, I'm going to get to this card in a minute. Okay, well, I'll just do this now because this is the challenge card. This is the Page of Cups. This could be a Pisces individual who is, you know, Pisces is associated with, well, the ruler of Pisces, Neptune, is associated with addiction. And you see the fish jumping out of the cup. Cup is water energy. So this could be somebody who is a water sign as well, specifically Pisces, but the other water sign besides Cancer and Pisces is Scorpio. But anyway, and Pisces is the kind of sign that you would get along with, for sure, because you're both water signs. Why did I say fire signs? Water signs. However, there can be this situation where if the person is very irresponsible and immature, it could be almost like a parent-child relationship, because pages relate to children. And yet, this is a love reading. We're not talking about children in this reading. We're talking about, unless by some situation, there's some of you who are dealing with child support issues, and that's causing some kind of drama. There's drama in some of these cards. But anyway, with the Page of Cups, you could be dealing with somebody who's emotionally immature. So I don't go by chronological age with these cards. Even if it's a king or a queen, they could be somebody mature chronologically, but it could be like somebody younger than you that's has it together. But we're talking about pages, so somebody who is not emotionally mature, and they may have an addiction, which is contributing to their emotional stagnation. And because they are emotionally immature, they have a hard time admitting that they have a problem, doing something about that problem. They're very dependent personalities. And what they do typically when it's a water sign person who has these problems, who doesn't have the maturity to look at themselves, is they blame others. It's somebody else's fault that they're unhappy in this position. If they acknowledge that they drink too much, or they, whatever it is that they're doing, they will have a reason. Well, it's because I was abused growing up. It'll be something that is manipulative. It may be perfectly true what they're saying, but they're using these negative things that happen to them as an excuse to be in this addictive mindset or behavioral pattern. And I'm reminded of somebody that I know, and well, this was told to me, that somebody that I know said, "I'm an alcoholic," and it was like, yeah, I admit I'm an alcoholic, but then they just kept drinking, because the whole point was, they said, the first step is admitting you have a problem. Well, that's just the first step, right? But this person was like, okay, I'm an alcoholic, so that's why, I guess that's why I drink, because I'm an alcoholic. But not thinking about the other aspect of it. So anyway, oh my gosh, I'm hearing all these environmental noises in the background. I thought it was just so quiet a second ago. So the point that I'm trying to make is that if you're involved with somebody who is trying to guilt you, trying to make you feel like you're responsible for their well-being, you could easily get sucked into that, because you're a water sign. And I have said more than once, I think all water signs, but Cancer too, can be manipulative. This is lower nature. This is not all Cancer people, obviously. This is not all Pisces people, all water signs. This is, every sign has the defense mechanisms that can come up, and they will be around whatever their element is and what it represents. So for the water energy, because that relates to feelings, there is a tendency to manipulate feelings, whether it's the emotions of others, because you and this person may be good at reading other people and how, what makes them tick, and knowing exactly how to get into their heads, or into their hearts is really what it is. And actually, when I said into their heads, the swords relate to air signs. So when you get a card that's a swords card, you're talking about thoughts and communication. So this is about this person getting into your head. And this is because of their behavior, their own maybe accusations. The Nine of Swords is a card of anxiety. And you may feel like you're, this, I don't know why exactly, but see how the person's hands are tied. This reminds me so much of the Eight of Swords in terms of what it depicts. Sometimes I think the 8 and 9 of Swords are pretty redundant, but there might be some nuances that I've missed. But basically feeling like you're trapped in a situation, but this is of your own making in your mind. That's what anxiety is. It's self-generated. That's what they say, that you don't have like an actual threat, and yet you feel very anxious. When somebody has a panic attack, it's not, if a rhinoceros is charging towards you, and you're scared, that's not a panic attack. That's like genuine danger coming your way. But a panic attack is when there's nothing happening that should cause that, and yet it's being generated from your thoughts. And so when you change your thoughts, you stop having panic attacks. Anyone who's ever had a panic attack knows how terrifying they are. I'm not talking about being afraid. A panic attack is when it takes on a life of its own and you feel like you're going to die. And it's very hard to explain this to people who have never had one. But I'm sure there are plenty of cancer people who can relate to that and know what I'm talking about. And you may be experiencing this. If you ever are in a relationship and you start having panic attacks and you have the awareness that you can trace it to this person, you know, that is a very clear sign that you're with the wrong person. So don't, like, throw away your intuitive nature that is so much a part of a Cancer person. Never throw that away and just kind of try to rationalize it. This could be you trying to overthink or think over your anxiety instead of honoring it and seeing it as a threat to your, you know, to your peace of mind, which is what it is. The higher message, the spiritual message, is the Five of Pentacles. Forget the fact that these are pentacles and, you know, that this could be dealing with poverty consciousness. Why do they only have four pentacles? Oh, the one in the center is a pentacle too. Pentacles relate to earth energy, but the 5 is a number of instability. This is a card that typically can indicate, you know, like losing a job, having financial difficulties, or fearing them, you know, poverty consciousness. But we're not doing a career reading, so this is about scarcity, thoughts of scarcity. And when it comes to relationships, are you with somebody, Cancer, and this is hard to admit to, because you're afraid of being alone and you think that nobody else will come along and be with you. You know, that's a form of low self-esteem, but scarcity consciousness. There's only so many people out there. This person has taken an interest in me. I should just stick with this person, even though the relationship is causing me anxiety, it's unsatisfactory, it's not giving me what I deserve. You know, that's what really the Six of Pentacles is about. What do you deserve? And really asking yourself that question. It's so important. And acting on it. Now, for the actual more mundane or worldly advice, we have the Chariot card. This is your card. Now look at how he's got two horses there. One is black and one is white. I think that would represent duality. He's holding on both of those horses. You notice how he's got a little half moon there, because that relates to your sign. You're ruled by the moon. But anyway, you know, I never noticed that he had two horses of both black and white, and the duality, he's holding on to them. But holding on to the reins of the horse is all about focus. It's about someone who is really not allowing themselves to get distracted. The Chariot is a card of success. So success is at hand if you can steady your mind. Okay? This can be about meditation. Maybe that's the best thing you can do. When you have anxiety, that's one of the best things you can do. Because, especially for a water sign person, because you're coming from the emotions. And the emotions, it's really interesting because some of you Sun in Cancer individuals may have a lot of Gemini, or at least a prominent Gemini, maybe Mercury in Gemini. Mars in Gemini, and that can cause you to conceptualize things or over-conceptualize them, even though you are a water sign. The mixture of that. And, or maybe even a moon in Gemini, but the moon isn't dependent on the sun sign, so that's why I was thinking more of Mercury, because that's your thought. So especially for those of you with Mercury in Gemini, you need to kind of like tame your thoughts, so that you don't have that those racing thoughts that can indicate anxiety, and that you can have victory over your situation here. Because if you think about it too, you need to have a clear mind if you're going to make decisions. You might be leaving a relationship. And as I stated earlier, you may have been in a long-term relationship before. This may not be this long-term relationship. And you need to have the ability to be able to move on and not have anxiety holding you back and all these other things, racing thoughts, and the person that you're dealing with, maybe they are a Gemini or a Libra person, and this is their mentality, but they're actually an air sign. And you need to get past it, because I even have this card coming up here. What is coming in is the Five of Swords, and this is a card of seeing the deception that another person has. This could be like you seeing the deception that another person has been giving to you. And sometimes, again, you have somebody who is immature, who is unwilling to accept their responsibility. They're always blaming others, and they may be accusing you of what they're doing. This could also be somebody who is lying to other people about you. Maybe he's telling, I'm sorry that I'm saying he, maybe they are telling potential partners, and there could be, this is the Five of Swords, there could be multiple partners. Maybe he's telling them that you're a bad person if they know that the two of you are together. Yes, it is possible that this is your marriage partner, or your significant other. Yeah, I guess it could be. I was thinking that this is a new relationship, but it's possible that this is a marriage. And if the other party knows that he or she is married, he or she may say, yeah, I'm married, but this person is threatening, to take the children if I divorce them, or blah, blah, blah. That's why I can't get divorced. So they're saying, bad-mouthing you, making you look bad when they're the one that's doing the deceptive stuff. But again, it's like things coming out in the open. Well, I'm saying that. I mean, that's not what the card represents, but in this position, it probably will be that you will find out that this person has been doing that. In a way, that makes it easier, because part of your anxiety has been believing their lies. They have been manipulating you, and now you see that it was all because they were trying to get inside your head. The outcome is the Seven of Cups. This is a card that is ruled by Neptune, and this is a card sometimes of wishful thinking. I might pick another card just because it doesn't have that resolution to it. This can be a card of addiction and confusion, wishful thinking. Maybe you're still wavering and thinking to yourself, well, maybe this person can change, believing if you confront them, they tell you what you want to hear. Pick the Emperor. So in some cases, this will be that you decide, let's take it to the judge. But in other cases, this can be that you are taking control of yourself. This is a card of control. The Emperor is a card of power, empowering yourself, but taking control of the situation. Again, like the Chariot, it could be like mental, it could be emotional, but not allowing wishful thinking to get the best of you and make you stay with somebody that may not be right for you. So now I'm going to pick a card from the Akashic Tarot deck and see what this card says. It's funny. It's the Akashic Tarot, and I got the, or is it the Akashic Tarot? I got the Akashic Library. And sometimes I'm, you know, if you've watched my videos before, I typically do not pick oracle cards with my readings or anything like that. But I just found this deck yesterday and I said, sometimes I like to mix things up a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to hold it up because it describes the scene. Inside a great library, candles cast a glow upon the books in the tall shelves. A sage sits thoughtfully with an open book on his table and a quill pen in hand. Sometimes this card can indicate writing or publishing a book for you, but this card also symbolizes a new initiation, an ability to manifest a new life in every way. You have moved deeper into the Akashic records and to a higher self-awareness. Further investigation may be required, but you now have a better understanding of your old motives and new purposes. It is also a time of heightened intuition as well as greater self-creation. During this phase, all you have to do is to add a little conscious effort to write your new records in the Akasha. To get started today, write one simple declaration about the future you wish to create and repeat it to yourself often. Then decide one thing you can do to make it happen and do it. Anything can happen now. The breadth of the landscape before you rests solely on the scope of your imagination and your will to own it. And it's very interesting because if you don't know what the Akashic records are, I don't know if that's biblical. I'm not very knowledgeable about the Bible, if the book of records is something that deals with the Bible, if that's from the Bible. But it's basically, we could call it the hard drive of our souls and of the collective souls. The history of us as human beings in every incarnation, every action, every, just like, a YouTube for the internet for the soul that has every action that has taken place. And I have often said that, and I think they, say when you cross over that you're able to access this. And part of it is for yourself, so that you can review, when you hear the term life review, you can look back like a, what do they call those, in football, those, the review, and see different things that you did, and see them from your perspective, from your new perspective. And when we live in experiences, it's hard to have that perspective. We're so deeply involved in it. But, from a disembodied perspective, being able to see the choices we've made and things like that. So, in terms of what's happening now, when they're talking about writing the new for the future, they're just saying planning for the future, sowing seeds of intention. You had a solar eclipse happening July 12th, and the effects of that can continue for months. And or at least 40 days. So at least going through almost the end of August. A lot of you will be watching before the end of August. So you have this fertile time to really plan, you know, if you're a Sun in Cancer individual, your future. What do you want? Including your relationships. Don't leave those out. But you be the one who's directing your life. Don't allow life to happen to you. Don't have a fatalistic sense of things. Don't be like the Five of Pentacles and think that there's only so much to go around, because don't settle for less is basically what I'm saying, Cancer. Okay, that's what I have for you. If you'd like a private love reading, I will provide a link below this video. Have a wonderful month. Take care. Bye.